Okay, last question for the day, practice question 7. Assume that the economy of country X has an actual unemployment rate of 7%, a natural rate of unemployment of 5%, and inflation of 3%. So part A, using the numerical values given above, draw a correctly labeled graph of short-run and long-run Phillips curves, label the current short-run equilibrium as point B, and plot the numerical values above. All right, so let's take a look. We've got part A. All right, so we've got our Phillips curves. So we know this is inflation, this is unemployment, long-run Phillips curve, short-run Phillips curve. Let's label them LRPC, SRPC. Excuse me. So we know that this intersection is full employment, or their natural rate of unemployment, and we know that that is 5%. All right, so we plot that, 5%. It says it has an actual unemployment rate of 7%, so that's going to be a little bit to the right here, so we'll put it right here, 7%. Okay, and now all we do for our new equilibrium, just dash our lines across, and we know that it's 3% inflation because that's what they told us. All right, and we want to label that point B. Okay, so that is part A. All right. Part B, assume that the government of country X takes no policy action to reduce unemployment. In the long run, will each of the following shift to the right, shift to the left, or remain the same? So again, remember, this whole idea of no policy action, think classical theory. All right, think classical theory. So what I want to do here actually is kind of show you using aggregate demand and aggregate supply how we can explain this. All right, so how we can explain what's actually going to happen. All right, so we got price level, we've got real GDP, we have long run aggregate supply. Why am I putting that in there? Because it's asking in the long run which of the following will shift to the right, shift to the left, or remain the same. So we've got to put long run in the model. Okay? Short run aggregate supply. And we know that we're in a recession because we have unemployment that's higher than it would be at full employment. So that means we're in a teeny tiny little recession. So that means that aggregate demand is going to have to be to the left of this intersection. All right, so there's aggregate demand. Okay, so we could put here Qn, and our current short run equilibrium is right here. All right, Q1 and PL1. All right, so getting back to what it says in point B, all right, or part B, it says that the government's not going to do anything. So classical theory, flexible prices, flexible wages, leave the economy alone, let things self-adjust, right? The only possible place, if you're not going to do anything, right, if you're not going to do anything, the government's not going to get involved, the only possible place where you could get a new intersection is going to be right here. Okay, because remember, if the government's not doing anything, aggregate demand's not going to change. Okay, so we can't fix this by shifting aggregate demand because we've already said the government's not going to do anything. All right, so we are going to see short run aggregate supply shift to the right. All right, now why is short run aggregate supply now shifting to the right? Okay, that's the big question. Well, remember, as prices continue to fall, like they are right here, we can see price level falling. As prices continue to fall, so will wages. So two things are going to happen. Prices are going to fall far enough that consumers may start to buy stuff again. Wages are going to fall far enough that producers are willing to hire workers back again. If they're willing to hire those workers back, that's going to give us some more short-run production. Okay? Our productive capability will increase in the short run. Right? That gets us back to the natural rate of unemployment. Okay, so for B, right, for part B, part 1, that says what's going to happen with the short run aggregate supply curve, it shifts to the right based on the explanation that I just gave you. What about the long run Phillips curve? Nothing changes. Okay, nothing changes with the long run Phillips curve. It remains the same because it's tied into that natural rate of unemployment. Okay, part C then asks, hey, identify a fiscal policy action that could be used to reduce the unemployment rate in the short run. So you just have to identify. So it would either be increasing government spending, which we know would boost aggregate demand, or it would be decreasing individual income taxes. Right? You decrease individual income taxes, it gives people more disposable income, they can go out and spend that. That can boost aggregate demand. Think of, the current situation with the government providing stimulus checks. All right, those stimulus checks go into the accounts of those individuals that qualify. The idea is that they will go out and spend that and help to provide some temporary relief as far as the economy is concerned. Okay, and then the last part, Part D, draw a correctly labeled graph of aggregate demand and short-run aggregate supply, and show the impact of the equilibrium price level and real GDP of the fiscal policy action identified in Part C. All right, so let's come down here and we'll go price level, real GDP, and remember this is for Part D, all right, it's for Part D. And we don't have to put long run in here because it's not asking us for that. It says aggregate demand and short run aggregate supply. So let's do this. We'll go short run aggregate supply, aggregate demand, and this initial equilibrium, Q1, PL1, this initial equilibrium here, let's tie this into this spot here. All right, imagine this is our recessionary equilibrium, okay? So we're in a recession in this spot right here. So now we identified in Part C a fiscal policy action that could help fix that. All right, that fiscal policy action was either increasing government spending or decreasing individual income taxes. Either one of those should boost aggregate demand. So we should get a rightward shift in aggregate demand, all right, and a new equilibrium. I wouldn't label that equilibrium full employment because we don't know that. We don't know that it's got us back to full employment. All we know, based on the data that's available, is that the choice that we made in Part C is going to boost aggregate demand. And that's what an increase in aggregate demand would look like. Okay? So that is it for the second set of practice questions. All right? And I will see you guys tomorrow.